Well, a little over a year ago, a group of parents that were brought together by the United Way Parent Grant decided that they wanted to apply for some funds to bring new life to the east side of town, particularly my feeder pattern, which is myself as the middle school, Pershing, Bowden, Tynan Elementary was a part of it, and Washington Elementary. And the purpose of the grant was to bring outside agencies to the parents as opposed to having the parents go to the outside agencies.
The Promise neighborhood focuses on education as the center, so really creating what is called from cradle to career, a path. And the choice, focuses on the greater community and the housing that surrounds the school.
It's not just about education when you think of a school. It's about what's around those schools that really support education. It's about a thriving community that has safe streets, that have lighting, that have, family members that are talking to each other about, hey, how was your day and how are you doing? And so this plan is about not just education, but looking at everything around it.
It's just putting a lot of things that they think would benefit this area and make this area grow, make it a more attractive place to live.
When the announcement came out about all 21 awardees, the Department of Education released an article on what it took to get these grants. There were several things that highlighted our grant above the others. One was that we were going to look really at the very early education, which was the 0 to 3 year olds. From birth, before they get into any system, what was out there. So we were going to expand that. So they really liked that. The other part is that United Way had already started a project on the east side called the East Pod Family Engagement Piece. So they really liked that we had things already on the ground. We weren't going to have to start from scratch. There were things that were already here. There was already some assets that they said, this group has an opportunity. They're already that this can just push them forward.
Part of it is with the Obama administration, there's been more of a philosophy of being collaborative between the different federal agencies and not working in a vacuum. And so I think what they've seen here is that here on the ground in San Antonio, that's actually what we've been doing. The Housing Authority has been working with the city, who's been working with United Way, who's been working with the residents, who's been working with City here. So there's a lot of partners, and that really makes a really strong case for us for any type of funding.
A key need is to look at ways to increase job training and job opportunities. We also know that the educational rate of kids in the neighborhood is not where it should be, and so we're working with parents and school leaders and teachers to improve the education environment and the outcomes.
A higher graduation rate,
Yes,
higher level of college entry and college completion, the transition years, that there are no gaps in transition years from middle school to high school or from 9th grade to 10th grade, that there are more slots for early childhood children. There's so many children here, but the slots are so limited. What happens to the infants or the toddlers that are not in the system? Who's teaching them? Because one of the big problems is that when they get into the school system, they're not ready.
Mm-hmm.
They're not ready with basic colors, numbers, alphabet. They're just not ready.
One of the reasons that people say that economic development on the east side is stagnated so it's because of poor schools. On the other hand, school people will tell you that the schools are bad because we don't have enough people living over here to support the infrastructure. So you're almost in that chicken and the egg scenario. Which comes first, more people or better schools? And so I think that if we start making some movement toward improving our educational system here on the east side, then that gives me a better story to tell to potential businesses who are coming on the east side. So we got businesses coming to the east side, bringing with them their employees who will then move into the homes and increase the tax base so that we can continue to improve our schools.
If we had stronger schools, that would lead to better outcomes for the people who are already living here. In addition, it would make it a more attractive place for other people to live so that we could have more variety of incomes, get more entrepreneurs over here who may create more businesses. And then once we have more people, more bodies, I think some existing businesses and retailers might be more interested in locating in this part of town as well.
Yeah, there's about 3 different plans that we could look at. Wheatley could become what we call a community school, where the school is open pretty much all day, every day. And it becomes the hub of an education center, which pretty much turns it into a community school where all residents in this area could come, take classes, computer labs, special tutors, exercise classes. You know, the school really becomes a community network system. So that's one plan that we're looking at. Another one is that the school can become a pre-K all the way to 8th grade, which means we keep the kids for all those years and they really develop a network together. And then the other one is that we develop what we call STEM academies at Wheatley, which is a really different way of training the teachers to teach based on science and math.
To have Wheatley be a true hub of the community, maybe it can be open from and have extended hours, and then you run into the, well, who's going to pay for this and who's going to pay for that. But if it's a true partnership with the city, then again, maybe have my library opened up after hours and have a public or city employee come in and staff the library.
I think there's this myth or a little bit of understanding. Promise right now is in planning. Right. There is no implementation. There is no, oh, you're doing this, this, and this. Really, what we've done a lot of is just have a lot of conversations with people. Businesses, neighborhood association, parents, the Wheatley courts. I mean, it's just doing a lot of listening about what people think works great here, but also what's missing. And if they could build their community, what would it look like? What did it feel like? Because that really is what Promise is looking at what will you put in place, but what is there already that you can build on?
I hope that we can put together a plan that will win us some implementation money at the end of the day. Of course, going through the process of planning is empowering for the residents as well. I have a planning background, and so I know that it is great to get people to come together to articulate their vision for the community, talk about what the challenges are, talk about potential solutions, and get their ideas out there. Sometimes it helps them to see what the things are that they can actually do on their own without the help of the housing authority or the city.
With federal funding right now, the Senate and the House are negotiating what to prioritize as far as funding. The good news is that here in San Antonio, United Way as the lead and other parties have decided that even if there's not a single dollar invested from the federal government, that the plan will continue. It may not be as large scale, but something will happen. So we're going to look at reprioritizing dollars that go to the east side as far as agencies. The school is also looking at how they can support. The city is going to invest. So no matter what, the plan will continue. We didn't invest this much time and energy, and we made some commitments to a lot of the neighbors and the families that we're not doing this just for a one-time thing, is that no matter what happens, they will start to be part of and feel some change.
We actually are up to, 4 grants together that we've gotten, right? And so we've brought, about $4 million to San Antonio. One thought. When we started this work, I think it was Gene Russell from the mayor's office that came up with the idea of knitting. How many of you know how to knit? Yeah, nobody, right? That's the problem, okay? But the whole idea of knitting, there are so many assets out in the community, and what we need to do is figure out how we can knit them all together. And so for anybody who knows how to knit, I'm looking for needles, okay? And we're going to get out there and we're going to knit it all together. Because as some folks have already put together, the goal here is to stay, to grow, to graduate, and then to come back and stay and start all over again. So thank y'all very much.